Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar on how to grow your business with custom patches and emblems from Stahls. I'm your host, Zach Dewhurst, the Business Development Manager at DecoNetwork, and this week's guest is Shauna Soom, the Director of Global Sales and Support at Stahls Hottronics. How's it going, Shauna?
Going great, Zach. I'm excited to be here and share all of the fabulous patches and emblems that we have at Stahls with your customers.
Every time I go to a trade show, one of the first booths you often will see when you walk into the floor is Stahls, and you see like the new Pro Place heat presses, and you often will see one of these 360 Fusion IQ presses, and it is a game changer in the world of heat printing hats, and specifically patches and emblems. Years ago, the only way to really put a patch on most hats would have been the old school sewing method. I mean, maybe you could use some adhesive, but it's not until really this press came about that really made it a premium product that is going to be durable. And again, there's so many different really cool types of new patches and emblems that you could not do the old school way. I mean, you take a PVC patch, I don't know how you would ever be able to sew this easily on a hat, but because of this press, and we're going to talk about it, and the fact that it has both a top and a bottom heating element is a game changer for applying these patches and emblems.
It's one of our most popular presses at Hottronics. And you're right, Zach, it is a game-changing press.
Yep, I mean, the most popular press at Stahls, or Hottronics, I should say. Actually, let's back up. Stahls. Stahls is essentially the parent company of several different brands. And anytime you see Stahls, you feel good. And you're going to see that blue and just know the quality is there. So whether you're buying a Hottronics heat press like this, or you're buying heat transfers, Transfer Express has been a leader for decades, or you're looking to buy heat transfer paper or DTF film, check out One Step Papers. All of these are Stahls companies, and the quality is always there. The customer service is incredible, and the education components. We're educating on patches and emblems, but if you really want to learn a lot as well, check out Stahls.com, right, Shauna, where they can see all of these different products and learn more about what.
Stahls.com. And then we also have the Stahls TV YouTube channel.
Great. And I mean, you want to talk about content, you guys have one of the biggest YouTube channels in the industry. Stahls will help you if you're just getting started or you've been in the industry for decades. If you want to keep up with the cutting edge technology, check out Stahls' YouTube channel. So let's just dive in. Patches and emblems. So, and you're going to see here in a second, we're going to go over them. There are a lot of patches and emblems that we can now heat apply using the 360 IQ press. And really it keeps growing, right, Shauna? I mean, first it was kind of the flex style and a few others. Now we're seeing woven and chenille. Who knows what's coming next?
Yeah, you have to stay tuned.
Yeah, that's why you want to subscribe to that YouTube channel at Stahls. So we have the flex style, and they come in a lot of different versions we're about to talk about. We have a hook and loop. Shauna, explain to us what hook and loop really means.
So hook and loop is the term that most people know as Velcro, but because Velcro is a registered trademark, we are not permitted to use that terminology. So hook and loop is where one has the hooks and then the other side has that smoother loop, and it kind of connects in, and you're able to then change the patch out for another patch or emblem.
Very important to know. PVC, that's that little rubber type one I held a second ago. We have embroidery, and there's several different types of embroidery. You have your traditional kind of two-dimensional, then you have your 3D embroidery. We have chenille, woven, print and stitch, authentic leather, faux leather, and faux suede. And again, I have samples that we're going to show. We're going to print a couple and some that have already been applied. Really cool stuff. I mean, it's taking it to the next level. The old school way of, the only way I can put a design on a hat is to embroider it. No, that is not necessarily. And what I really like about it is, again, because it's a transfer, you can apply it where you want, when you want. I wouldn't hesitate buying, 50 emblems if I have a client logo that I know isn't going to change and they're going to, stick around. I could buy patches and, print on demand. They could even bring me some of their own apparel and things, slap it on there, versus when you have to go directly onto a product like embroidery or direct to garment, you physically have to have the shirt, physically have to have that piece of equipment. With this, you're talking about I think it's $18.50 right now for this press. It is the #2 selling press at Hotronix. And again, we're going to talk more about it. I know I keep teasing, but really just excited about this press. But let's talk about the emblems and patches themselves. There's a lot of different types, and just like every decoration process, there are some limitations with them as far as the amount of detail. You think about embroidery. If we're doing if we're doing embroidery on a hat, or we're doing embroidery onto a patch, it still has some of the rules of, hey, you can only do so much detail with embroidery. We can print, like with sublimation, a lot more detail. So just because the customer wants, a certain design on a certain patch doesn't mean that it's, anything is possible. So you have some artwork limitations. The amount of colors that are in the design. So some of the patches, there may be 1 or they're 4, 6, an unlimited amount of colors. The minimums are 25 for all of the patches and emblems at Stahls. Correct, Shauna?
Let me double check on the chenille. That's our newest patch, and I just want to make sure that it's the same. Yep, 25 piece minimum. The woven tags, those need to be sewn on. Those are a 50 piece minimum.
Okay, and chenille, for those, again, we're going to talk about it. When you think of chenille, I immediately think of Letterman jackets. That is what the chenille look is. And, it's a whole nother thing that personally I don't want to buy a, embroidery machine that specifically does chenille. Out of curiosity, Shauna, just because I have it right here, I've got a Fusion IQ with a bottom power platen. And anybody who hasn't seen it, check out the power platen from Hotronix. It's a game changer to prevent scorching onto dark polyester and other synthetic fabrics, because we have a bottom heating element, just like the Fusion 360 IQ, and that allows us to drop the top heating element so we're not scorching the surface of the garment. Could I apply chenille patches to like a Letterman jacket using the power platen because I have that bottom heat?
Yes, you could. That is correct. It's
Awesome.
the bottom heat that makes the application of those dimensional products possible on the 360. So we do recommend the power platens for customers who want to do larger of the logos of the dimensional products.
Awesome. And again, the power platen, I have the 16 by 20 here. It goes all the way down to a 6 by 6, and then they have a sleeve, a hoodie, a youth size, just like all the other interchangeable platens that aren't heated. But anybody who owns a Fusion IQ, and again, it can't be the drawer version. It needs to be one of the pneumatic versions, because we don't want that drawer coming out. It's just too dangerous. But highly suggested. I just bought mine a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, wow, where have you been? Nothing bothers me more than seeing a box on a poly black shirt.
Yep. The power platens also work with our auto clam series. So it's just the Fusion with the drawer, and you're correct. It's the drawer that makes that unsafe.
Yep. If a Hotronix press does this or swings, it's safe. If it comes out, which is just the Fusion IQ, non-pneumatic, then yeah, not as safe. Okay. So how do we determine the price? Well, it's a lot like embroidery, or a lot like a lot of DTF. It's going to come down to the size of the artwork and the quantity that's being purchased, and obviously there is a minimum of 25. Now, what I think is pretty cool is pretty much all these patches, not every, but most of them can be both a heat applied patch, so think like DTF, and then it can be also pressure sensitive, like UV DTF. So here we have some of the different types of heat applied. And then for fun, right before we got on the call, I took one and I threw it on a thing of ink. And this is a pressure sensitive one. It just had a sticky backing and I was just able to rub it on there. And now I've branded my bottle of ink, which I thought was kind of cool. So these patches, you know, when you see them sometimes on a tumbler and other things, and you're wondering, how are they doing that? Well, these patches and emblems can come with an adhesive already on there, and all you have to do is rub it. There is no equipment used to apply.
When you put them on with the pressure sensitive, Zach, we recommend that you hand wash those products if it's a mug or a tumbler. I do have some colleagues who don't hand wash, and it has withstood the dishwasher, but we definitely recommend hand washing those.
You know, until a male like myself gets their hands on it and doesn't follow any wash instructions, whether it be drinkware or apparel. But yeah, definitely hand wash would be the, yeah. And again, what I like about it, Shauna, is that I could go to my customer and ask them, hey, do you have any products of your own you want us to slap it on? It could be kind of cool to brand their own stuff. No setup fee for reorders within 12 months. So whenever you place an order, there's a setup fee, and then you have that unit cost for the patch emblem. But if you reorder within 12 months, there is no additional setup fee, correct?
That is correct. And every reorder resets that 12-month period.
Oh, that's great to know. Okay, cool. So you just reset it. So 11 months and like 3 weeks, place a reorder if you're thinking about it.
Yep.
Okay. So 360 IQ press. I keep talking about it, but now I really want to show it. Again, it has a top and a bottom heating element. And on our control panel here, you can see the two different temperatures. It is also an auto pop. So once the clock hits 0, or I can just hit the button and it will release. It has a magnet that will essentially release it after that time hits 0. What is overlooked outside of the top and the bottom heating element is the bottom layers tapered bottom platen. I mean, you think, well, what's the big deal there? Trust me, it is the best way you can put, everything from a flat bill to your dad hat onto the press, and it's going to just print beautifully compared to a hat press that doesn't have that tapered, feature. But
yep,
really important.
We call that the molded silicone platen, and because it's silicone, it has enough flexibility so it can give a little bit with the structure of especially a structured hat. So those Richardsons are sometimes difficult to not crease, but that press makes it able to do that without a crease.
When I was looking at a new hat press, I didn't think about this as much yet at the time. And then when the rep really sold me on was that taper. That actually sold me before being able to apply patches and emblems. Just because the old presses I've had, hat presses, it's like you can really damage a hat. And it's useless at that point because it's just not the right shape. So top and bottom heating elements, with the bottom having that tapered. They both are individually controlled, so I can set a temp for the top, temp for the bottom. It's not the same. Tapered bottom platen, easy loading and pressing. You're not going to damage the hat like a lot of hat presses can. Has the auto open because the magnetic releases it. It's made in the USA. I've been to Hotronix's facility in Pennsylvania. They do an incredible job. The service at Hotronix is incredible. The warranty on the press is awesome. Shauna, it is a lifetime warranty on the heating element. We have a 5-year warranty on the frame, 2 years on electronics, and 1 year on other parts. Again, you cannot go wrong with the Hotronix heat press. They are made as well as they can, and they're made in the USA. And if you ever have, an issue with one, it's as easy as going to hotronix.com and submitting a support ticket, and the customer service is incredible. All right. So why buy this $1,800 1850 hat press? They're more expensive than a lot of other hat presses. You get what you pay for. And not only, again, does it have that taper, but it has this bottom heating element. And I don't think anybody's even allowed to copy. You guys have it patented, right? I have never seen another hat press with a bottom heating element like that.
Yeah, there are some dupes that are starting to appear on the market, but we are actively pursuing action against those because we do have a lot of patented features on that press. The one thing that you did not talk about, which you and I didn't talk about when we met a couple of weeks ago, is the cantilever design. So because there's not a bar holding up the platen right in the middle of the press, you can decorate 360 degrees on that platen, and you also can decorate things other than hats, like backpacks or jackets, left chest on a jacket, a sleeve. Yes. So that cantilever design in conjunction with other things is also a really great feature that makes the press unique. So
Hotronix doesn't just think of, hey, we got to apply heat, pressure, and have a clock on there that counts down. They're actually trying to perfect it. And again, I kind of mentioned it. Check out the Pro Place IQ and how incredible the next version of the dual air fusion works. It's really cool. The innovation at Hotronix is just amazing. But why buy this press? Because you can make a lot of great money off of it. Your profit per hour could range from $262 to $525. How do we calculate that? Well, based on an 8-hour shift, you can print a lot of products with this. I mean, the average patch here, I think, applies around 35 to 45 seconds. And it's so easy to get on and off. I'm not saying somebody could just go all day, boom, 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 boom. But you should be able to average, 40 to 50 hats an hour if you're efficient. Sound about right, Shauna?
Yeah, definitely. And if you have customers who are really into hat production, we often recommend that they get 2 of these presses because of the long dwell time. Yep, while you're pressing one, you're loading the other one.
Absolutely. Just like, before, I don't have a dual air fusion, but we have our 2 air fusions, and sometimes they'll be right next to one another, and just being able to do it that way, absolutely. But when you press a normal heat transfer, it could be 5 to 12 seconds. 35 seconds, 2 of them now are really cooking.
Yeah.
All right, so silicone pad. We're going to have a couple different tools that we use when we apply patches. So we have a silicone pad here. When do we use this, Shauna?
So you'll want to match the heat press. The hat press will come with some foam pads and some just some foam pads and some what I was thinking was some test patches. But you'll want to match the thickness of the pad that you use to the thickness of the product that you're applying. So if you're doing something thin like a heat transfer vinyl or a soft foam or even a DTF transfer, you'll want to use something thin. So maybe like that thinner silicone pad. But as the dimension of the product starts to increase, that's when you want to move over to the foam pads. You're protecting the front of the patch, and then you're also protecting the front of the hat from that direct heat on that upper heating element as well.
Stahls has kind of phased this one out. It's kind of thick, and there's not a patch here that's even close to this thickness, whereas we have the 1/8 of an inch and the 1/4 of an inch. And again, like you're saying, and again, it's just because Shauna taught me a couple weeks ago, you try to view this. This is a lot thicker than this. And you know, the flex style, now I remember, because it's the flex style pad, you can use this with a lot of the flex style hats, but you can also do it, or patches, I'm sorry, and you can also use the 1/8 of an inch one as well. PVC, you know, when you look at like this, but then when you get into this 3D embroidery, that's when I'm starting to use this thicker foam pad to get the best results.
Right. You don't want to crush that embroidery. So you want to have enough give in that foam pad to kind of mold around the front of that patch.
That 3D is going to become 2D.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's talk about flex style, which comes in a lot of different variations. And this was kind of like, from what I remember, one of the first that Stahls started pushing.
It was.
So,
yep.
Let's go over textured. Okay. Textured is going to be something like this. And if you look at it on there, it has an actual textured feel and look. So with this basketball, it actually feels and looks like a basketball because it has that texture to it. Really cool. Try to do that with embroidery. It's just not going to happen. Try to do a DTF transfer like that. You're just not. That's why there's so much profitability, because of the perceived value. You're not giving them the normal stuff. You're giving them something often that they always wish they had, but they didn't realize, oh, wait, this is possible, because it wasn't 10 years ago as easily, or some of these weren't even possible at all. Domed. Let's try to find a domed one. Domed. So you can see it has a little bit more dimension there. It's bigger. When I think of the domed, I think of like NFL jerseys, and you'll see like the NFL logo, and it's like, that looks like a domed thing. So yeah, think of like a lot of your sports jerseys in which it looks like it has that plastic 3-dimensional look. That's probably a flex style or very similar type of patch.
That is definitely these products.
Flex style. So your flexed, or I'm sorry, not flex style, but your flat. So again, it's just a flat patch, but in this case, it just doesn't have that texture. We can hold more detail with this. Is that correct?
Probably. It depends on the artwork, Zach. Every piece of artwork is different. And our artists do a great job of recommending what is best given the artwork.
This, though, can also be in that hook and loop. So this can be that Velcro style, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And then beveled. So bevel does remind me a lot of the domed. You know, it's very similar, but, you know, how would you kind of explain this compared to the domed?
Sure, the domed is flatter. The beveled edges have a sharper look. So especially on that M, in domed, on domed, it would just be flat across all of the lines of the M. But in the beveled, you can see it comes up to a point.
Got it. Okay. Again, there's so many. It's amazing. You know, we get spoiled. We couldn't do anything. Now we have like, whoa, now you have information overload. Which one do I go with?
Yep.
And that's why, here's, again, Stahls does so many things right. You can go onto the website and request free samples. Is that correct? I should have clarified before I said that.
There's I believe a shipping charge with most of our samples, but yes. And if somebody needs to connect with their sales rep, if they're interested, Zach, if you just have them contact me, I can connect them with their proper sales rep.
Awesome. And just so you all realize, they'll send you every single type. You get this nice information guide. Hey, this is what they are, and easy application instructions. Again, it can't be made easier for you. It's just, yeah, get samples. And then here's another suggestion. I'm a big Sanmar guy. And what I really like about Sanmar is they will sell you grommeted samples at half the normal price. So here's a suggestion. Go to Sanmar, get a bunch of sample hats in which it's a sales tool. They're telling you, you know, in this hat itself, I have actual, you know, swatches of the material But what's even better is they sold me the hat at 50% of the normal price. And now I can throw a patch on there and I'm killing two birds at the same time. Holographic. I don't think I have one applied, but this is too cool, Shauna. I don't know if I'm demoing that well because I can't see.
I know, isn't it the best thing ever? Two
But
pieces
so
of artwork.
cool.
Yeah, two pieces of artwork, and when you move it, you see either one or the other.
Magicians. Like who thinks of this? It just makes, a normal transfer, like, who wants that? I mean, it's kind of funny how far you guys are taking it. So again, to recap, we have our textured, detail, color, and textures. Then we have the domed, shiny finish with 3D bubble effect. There is the flat. Shiny 3D finish with a flatter appearance, can come in a matte, clear, or metallic. And then we have our hook and loop, which again is essentially Velcro, so you can interchange what patch is on there. All right, let's talk about this for a second. And we didn't talk really about it too much, Shauna. How does this work? Is essentially if I bought a hook and loop, do I get two different, pieces, and then I would heat apply the one onto the hat, and then I would have this second, and then again, I could get others in the exact same shape, and now I can just swap what I need that day.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. What you're swapping, it would have to be the same size, the same shape, and the same size artwork.
Okay. I mean, hey, it's pretty easy. I mean, I don't know. I've seen a lot of movies where, like, at the last second, the bad guy throws on the patch just so he can match the SWAT team, essentially, is kind of the idea. Pretty cool how somebody could interchange it, as needed, depending on, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so think clubs. If you're getting awards or badges from, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, those types of things, safety people use them. So there's definitely a market for them.
That's a better example than my bad guy in a movie version. All right. Then we have our beveled, which, like you said, it's able to bring up certain elements in it rather than just have that exact same level, correct?
Correct.
That's so cool. And you know what? I think that's cool. And then we get to holographic, and it's like, okay, this is crazy what this is able to do.
It is amazing.
And as you can see, you can get most of these in that, sticky version in which it already has adhesive. And if you can do this, you can apply one of these without having to buy any equipment. Really cool. All right, PVC patches. It's one of my favorites. So PVC, think plastic, or essentially rubber. It is, the perceived value with this is incredible. Nobody ever, it just looks amazing. Has that rubber look and feel, and I just love the dimension here. And it is thicker. That's when you probably want that, quarter of an inch, so that you're not smashing stuff down. That's why you want to have a couple of these different, and again, Hotronix sends it to you with the press.
And it's important to use those foam pads. Customers tend to not want to use them for some reason, but they really do serve a purpose.
It doesn't take any more time. It's, oh, I got to lay something down. Oh, it's always trying to cut a corner.
Yep.
Artwork, less detail. You look at it, and it's kind of obvious to me that this has to be molded, and you can only get so much detail, but that's still pretty good detail. It's just not getting as small as like a sublimated print can do. If you had like I don't know, well, you're also limited to how many colors. So 4 colors are the most, which again works for the majority of logos out there. Available in glow and dark, just to make it a little bit cooler. You can get this in a glow in the dark and be at the club and have it look really cool. heat applied or pressure sensitive. So again, PVC, really cool type of patch. And it's got a lot of dimension to it. You just, again, the perceived value is your customers are going to think this costs, 10 times more than embroidery. And it doesn't. And it's actually a lot easier. When we embroider some of these, embroidered designs, they could take 30, 40 minutes. Well, I could order patches, and if I had 2 of these presses, I could get them out ridiculously fast. Also, the learning curve for heat pressing is ridiculously small compared to, screen printing or embroidery, which is an art that takes time to master. So much easier when your one job is just to heat press.
You're correct. That's what makes that profitability chart that you showed feasible a few slides back.
You're not hiring somebody with decades worth of experience. Exactly. You can master this in an hour. I mean, really, it's not hard to do. The learning curve for heat applying a graphic is easily the smallest out of every decoration industry method in our industry. That's why everybody loves it. I mean, a lot of shops, they think about doing DTF, and it's like, DTF is easier as far as getting that equipment tuned in and everything, but I'll tell you, nothing is easier. Just outsourcing artwork, getting a transfer from somebody like Stahls at a really good price, and just heat pressing. Just don't. Sometimes it's better to outsource, and don't think you want to start making these patches yourself in-house. I want to try to make my own PVC patch. No, you don't. Yeah, send it to Stahls. They got it. Embroidered patches. Now, this is something, for years, a lot of shops have done themselves. Personally, I have no interest in doing it myself. All right, embroidered patches. So you have your classic embroidered patch in which everything is embroidered. And there are over 100 thread colors to choose from. You can use up to 6 colors. Again, that's a lot of colors for embroidery. It's rare that you're going to have artwork that exceeds 6 colors. You can heat apply it, or you can do it as a pressure sensitive. What have you seen one of these embroidered patches be put on as far as pressure sensitive?
So great question. I have seen them put on like those pad folios that hold
okay,
like writing pads. I have seen those. And what we recommend for customers is, to be able to put them on various items. So, I don't know that a embroidered patch would necessarily want to go on a drinkware, but you can think like drinkware, any type of hard goods. A pad folio, a box. Think sporting team. It could go on. You could be decorating across everything that those players wear, from the bags to the helmets to fanwear. So, try to think broadly.
Well, and sometimes when a customer sees it for the first time, that's what, opens their eyes. Like, wait, what did you do? And they think you're some magician. And I know the secret. I hit up Stahls and I buy the best hat press out there. Or if the pressure sensitive, I know how to slap a sticker on, and I know how to outsource the patch to Stahl. 3D embroidery. Everybody likes 3D embroidery when it comes to a hat. And it's pretty 3-dimensional. It's coming out, and we have some of it as a 2D, so it can be a mixture of both. Has that 3-dimensional look and feel because it's embroidery. You're using the same 100+ colors that are available for the 2D. You can, again, use up to 6 colors. It has more limited detail. Anybody who's done 3D embroidery themselves knows that you can't hold as much detail because of the way it's sewn. And again, I just can't puff something super small. Chenille. I don't have a sample, I don't think, of chenille. But again, when you think chenille, immediately think Letterman jacket. That's what it is. It is an entirely different type of embroidery machine. And I go to a trade show next week, and I'm sure I'll see some Chenille machines. But it's like grabbing. I don't even want to pretend. I mean, it's totally different. It's something like those machines are not cheap. It's a lot cheaper to outsource it, heat apply it yourself. And again, if you're using the bottom power Platin heating element on a Hotronix Fusion IQ or an auto clam, you've just now opened yourself into the Letterman jacket world if you want.
We saw a lot of chenille in the retail world, even in hoodies and sweatshirts, crew neck sweatshirts, especially at the holidays.
Absolutely. I mean, again, because it gets easier, now you're going to see these types of patches on things that a lot of us never thought, oh, wait, that's a great application for it. You just couldn't do it before. So chenille artwork. So you have 50 thread colors to choose from because, again, it's a different type of thread and the way it's done. You have 9 felt colors. So if you're looking at this S, that's the yellow border, right, Shauna?
Correct.
And then you can do up to 6 colors, again, just like the embroidery. And it can be heat applied and pressure sensitive. That'd be a pretty cool pressure sensitive application that you can do. Really cool. And Sean, I think I know the answer to this. If a customer wanted, both pressure sensitive and heat applied, they cannot combine them to get to, a better quantity discount.
Correct.
The Stahls use the same setup, though. Does it waive the setup fee? How does it work? Or is it just a totally new setup?
Okay. You're correct.
So you can't combine both heat applied and, the sticker version or the pressure sensitive to get a better quantity break, but you don't have to repay. And correct me if I'm wrong, I could order, I first deliver my customer this and they're blown away. And now they're like, can you put it on this thing that's pressure sensitive? And you're like, yes, I can. And it's going to be a little bit cheaper because now I'm not paying that setup fee.
That's correct. But you probably don't want to tell the customer that if they've already
No, don't tell the customer. Don't tell the customer. Just tell them you can put it on something. Just don't tell them, hey, we'll waive that setup fee. And just my suggestion, and I'm not saying, hey, everybody do it this way. Setup fees are more common in the contract world. And when you're outsourcing a patch, you're really outsourcing. I mean, Stahls is your contract provider in that sense. We understand setup fees. Try to incorporate it in your pricing is always my suggestion. And then it's always applied. And it's just natural. It's that all-inclusive price. It makes it simpler for your customer to understand what it's going to cost. Don't have to, just a suggestion. Okay, woven. So woven is a little bit different, and I don't think I have one. Hold on, got a few. Let's see. Woven, yeah, right here. Pretty cool. Woven, though, can come in a couple different ways, right? It can come in as a tag. When do we have a woven tag, and why must it be sewn?
It doesn't have the adhesive on the back, so they don't come with a backing, so they have to be sewn on. They're just the soft, like twill thread piece.
But you can still get it as a heat applied. It's just
you can get it as a heat applied. That is correct.
And again, 60 color options, up to 6 sew colors. And as far as the sew, it's really the border. Is that correct? That's being sewn?
Yeah, they would just sew it around the outside.
Yep. Cool. I mean, again, woven patches. And again, that's why I really stress, order some samples, apply them, and let your customer walk into the shop, feel, look for themselves. Just having a website, it's not as easy for the customer to be able to, get the full experience. They kind of need to hold it themselves to really know what that product is all about and, the pros and cons of it. All the pros, the limitations is what I should say. Okay. Um, artwork. So print and stitch. Let's talk about print and stitch. So we have this as our print and stitch. And print and stitch, I kept mentioning, embroidery can only hold so much detail. So if you're looking at this, you look at that astronomy club down there. There's no way I'm going to be able to sew that and keep that detail. It's going to combine itself. So what happens, correct me wrong, Shauna, first it's printed and then the embroidery can be dropped on it wherever we really need to, as long as it doesn't have too much detail.
That is correct. It's sublimated. The fine detail is sublimated on, and then it's enhanced with that embroidery to really make it pop.
You know what I haven't mentioned? These all have custom shapes, right? Are any of them have to be a circle or a rectangle or a square?
No, can be the shape of your artwork.
Wow. Now, obviously, I can't have negativity in this, but really cool. So 100 plus threads to choose from. It's got the embroidery, up to 4 sew colors, heat applied, pressure sensitive options. So you have both. Really cool when you have artwork that just has that detail. We can do a print and stitch version. And then actually, I don't know if I have a slide in here, but you do have the Permat twill, which is pretty cool. A little different. But how is this? It's just twill that's been printed. Is that essentially it?
Yeah, that's sublimated onto, that is our textured twill. So the twill has a little bit of texture to it. So when you add the sublimation, it just makes the design pop and gives it that dimensional look.
That is really cool. Really cool. Okay, authentic leather. So imagine approaching your customer. I've got a Carhartt duck cloth hat from Sanmar. This hat costs $12 wholesale, and it's nice. Guess what it is? A nightmare to sew because it's duck cloth Carhartt. I mean, it is the thickest hat ever. But if you had a client and you put like a patch like this on, they're going to be blown away, and it's going to be so much easier for you to apply than sewing a lot of logos, because again, this duck cloth is ridiculous. It's a 6-panel, but the authentic leather, really cool. What I think is also really cool, it comes in 3 different color options. So if you see on here on the right, you have caramel, natural, taupe. How do you pronounce that, Shauna?
Yeah, that's how I say it.
Okay. So you have these 3 different color options, but then you have both a low and a high contrast capability as well. So how do we get that low versus high contrast?
It's how it's processed and burnt out, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. So the low contrast is a little closer to the original color of the leather. The high contrast is always a darker contrast.
I lost my patch. But yeah, really, I mean, the leather, and it feels nice too. I mean, the perceived value here is mind-blowing. You just, if you're going to do retail especially, oh my, if you have that retail client, you have to be showing them these patches and emblems.
Look how nice that leather patch went over top of that seam also.
I know. It's a nightmare to sew this hat. And that 6th panel, I mean, it's, not fun. I would rather order patches. I'm ready to get rid of the embroidery machine and just we only do this now. All right. We have another version of leather patches, and that is the faux leather. Actually, no, sorry, hold on. Faux leather. And it's a little bit cheaper than the traditional leather. Is that correct?
It is a little, I think it is a little less expensive than the traditional leather, but where we differentiate typically is obviously the look, because it comes in some different colors. But if you're putting it on anything that would be washed, we recommend that you use the faux leather as opposed to the real leather. Real leather just doesn't wash well, right?
Okay.
So it gives you an option to put on a garment like a jacket or, maybe a hoodie that would be washed. This gives you that option.
Awesome. Hey, you learn something new every day, right, Shauna?
Yeah.
I did not know it was that much more durable. And then you can do the heat applied and the pressure sensitive as
Yeah.
well.
And it's not really durability because the adhesive is what makes it durable. But once you wash leather, it just kind of gets a little bit brittle.
Yep. Yep. I
Yeah.
mean, leather you want to take care of. Also, maybe, the sun and other things.
Yep.
All right. Then we have faux suede, soft velvet. And you're not kidding. It does have that velvet look and feel to it.
Mhm.
And this is available with a border and without. So this is our border. 23 color options. It's a lot. And then obviously it's laser etched there. So it's a one color. And it can also be heat applied or used as a pressure sensitive application. All right. So let's demonstrate how easy the 360 IQ is at applying these. Let's just go all the way back though. Almost. Oh, almost there. There we go. So actually, that's not even the one I wanted to go with. I like this one. Something that I forgot to mention, and you sent me some samples, I just haven't applied it, and it'd been helpful if I did. The hook and loop. Think Velcro, guys. Whenever you see hook and loop, two different. I'm going to heat apply this, and I can apply this. If I have other artwork in this exact same size and dimension, I can swap them out. It's really cool. Hook and loop. All right, so 360 IQ press. It's like applying any other transfer. It comes down to using the correct time, temperature, and pressure. They give us instructions for a reason. It's not something, well, I think this is the right, time, temperature, and pressure. No, it's very obvious. Follow the instructions and you will get much better. It'll actually work. Otherwise, you're just not doing it correctly. So now I'm going to be honest. I used to be really good on a heat press. I never do it anymore. But I'm going to take this 6-panel hat with a real nice thick seam. Something I probably wouldn't love to have to print. So I'm going to load it onto the press just like I would a
So, hey,
normal.
Zach, can I give you some guidance?
Yeah, please, because I'm a rookie now at this stuff.
Pull the sweatband out. Pull the sweatband out, load it from your left to right, so you're not going to hit that hold down mechanism.
And is it always suggested to use the hold down? I should have
Yes, yes, especially for hats. And then when you get it on the press, you want to seat where the bill and the buckram meet in that little ledge in the silicone lower platen. So you don't want it too far forward. You don't want it too far backward. If it's too far back, the upper heater will burn the bill.
Got it.
And then once you have it on, use your hands to work out any air. If there's airspace in between the bottom platen and the fabric of the hat, just gently kiss the top of the hat with the upper platen. Don't lock it down. Just give it a little heat to kind of soften it up and then mold it out with your hands.
I'm glad you told me not to go too high or too low. It's like Goldilocks. Get that just right. It's nice and smooth.
Yes.
And I can rub it without burning myself and make sure I don't have any of those air pockets. If I did this a dozen times, I'd have it mastered, I'm sure. But I have one of our, twill woven patches. Or no,
Yep.
just woven patch.
Yep. Then just give it a little bend so it kind of takes the shape of the hat that that platen shape.
So you would do kind of like that?
Yeah, just give it a little bend. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Place it on my 6-panel. And it says medium pressure. What do you consider to be medium pressure?
Like a 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7,
That's
depending
what
on.
my boy was asking, what do you think it is? And I was like, 5, 6, 7. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So I pre-press. It's not really necessary, correct? Because we have the bottom heating element, or do you suggest pre-pressing?
I think it depends on how much humidity is in the environment that you're working in. It's a 30-second dwell time. That's a pretty strong adhesive. If it's summer and it's really humid, it's never going to hurt. But if you're doing structured caps and you're pulling that upper platen down to kind of release the fabric, that also serves as a little bit of a pre-press. So we typically don't do a lot of pre-press on the hats.
Okay.
But it's, if you're having problems, it's not a bad recommendation to add that in.
Gosh, Shauna, I didn't even start pressing this. I just laid it on there.
Yeah, and it's already sticking, isn't it?
Starting to grab it and hold it a little bit for me.
Yeah, we'll tell people to just hold it on for a second, like just hold it down with your finger for a second.
Yeah. Ah, I see that. But that also, remember, don't put it on there, walk away. All right, so we're going to bring it down. We're going to press.
Did you put your pad in there? Did you put the
No, I didn't. See, I told you I'm not good. Okay, so we're going on something really small. We want to use our 1/8 of an inch pad, correct, Shauna?
Correct.
Okay. No, see, I'm already failing. Okay, now 35 seconds. You know what? I had the pressure dialed in, and then I used that pad, and now I'm over. So another thing, dial in your pressure with the pad before you start applying, right, Shauna?
That is correct. With a hat there also, so you want to make sure you have the hat and the pad on.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Everything that would typically be there. And the auto pop, I've always been one where I like to be next to it and kind of catch it. It's not really necessary though, is it?
No, it raises up nice. The gas shocks on that press make it open nice and slow.
Yeah, because I've used some on. I'm like, man, this is violent the way it kicks up. Look at that. I mean, in 35 seconds, we made something so easily, and it looks like a fashion retail application, not something just done with a heat press. I mean, it's amazing how strong that is. So let's do a 5 panel. You know what? I hate 6 panels for embroidery because sometimes that seam is just a nightmare, and it's a lot harder to find 5 panels. And that's why, again, these patches and emblems, they don't care. 5, 6, 7, we don't care. Just we can take care of it. It doesn't matter, right, Shauna?
That's correct.
All right. For those who don't know, temperature and time are controlled on the touch screen. Pressure is just a knob, just like the Fusion IQ. Just dial it left, right to dial it in. Again, Shauna, I'm going to lift the sweatband. You said left to right. Make sure this is up first. That would help. Right there. Don't want to be too close to myself. Don't want to be back. I can feel a nice smooth surface. I'm going to try to make sure I've got this pressure dialed in exactly. So I'll put the pad on, bring it down. I'm at an 8. We'll dial it just a little bit more. I can automatically release it by just pushing a little button.
Yeah, it looks like a little snowflake or something. I don't know how to describe that button.
Yeah, little asterisk.
Yeah, asterisk, that's a good word.
All right, I've got it. I've got to start at a 7. And again, it's not like I would be continuously dialing it in. It's just one time based on the pad width. So I just have our normal 2D embroidered patch, very popular. Drop it on here. Heat applied. And while it's doing it for 35 seconds, there's a really cool new platen that Hottronic sells called the hat-built platen that you can put on a Fusion or an auto clam. And what it allows you to do is you could put a DTF, or really a lot of these, well, Yeah, at that bottom and heat, bottom and top. But like DTF, I've seen a lot of transfers there. And what's also really cool about that hat Bill Platin is you can print other things with it. It doesn't just have to be hats. You can do a sleeve. You do a lot of things with it, but pretty cool. And sometimes there are promotions where, hey, you buy this press and you get that hat Bill Platin. I know that was a promotion here recently.
Yep, that's actually an ongoing promotion that we have currently.
Really cool. So imagine taking that and then using the Hotronics hat Bill Platin and then printing here. You're going to blow your customer's mind. But it's so easy to do. And again, I'm never on a heat press anymore. Even I can do this. Anybody can. That is, I mean, again, Shauna, Stahls, a leader for decades. I mean, how old is Stahls? I think it's one of the oldest in our industry.
Yeah, 1932.
1932. Yeah, I'll be in Atlantic City next year for the Impression Show. I wonder how many of those exhibitors there have been around since 1932. And again, it's just everything they do, especially the customer service, the education. I can't speak high enough on Stahls. I can't speak well enough for Hotronics, the peace of mind, everything about it. It's just great. So if anybody has any questions about Stahls, emblems, and patches, they can go to stahls.com or check out Stahls' YouTube channel. Correct, Shauna?
That is correct.
Highly
Our
suggested.
YouTube channel is Stahls TV. And from the stahls.com website, across the top, let me look and see so I give them exactly. Across the top, it's emblems and patches.
And you know, I'd say I've been in the industry about 15 years now. Do you know who taught me the industry initially? Is Josh Ellsworth. And Josh makes a lot of videos. Again, everybody at the Stahls team is awesome, but just the education there. And heat pressing has never been more popular, and Hotronics is innovating. Highly suggest you take a look at the Fusion IQ 360 press. You can get it at stahls.com. There's also a network of dealers out there for Hotronics presses, and I assure you, you will love your purchase. Shauna, thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody who saw this webinar now has a better idea of how patches work, how you can apply them, some of the limitations for the different styles, and why you should consider Stahls, both outsourcing your patches to them and purchasing this heat press.
Thanks, Zach. I've really enjoyed our time together and appreciate the opportunity to share the word about our presses and our products.
Thank you so much, Shauna, and have a good day.